we got to get a coat on here to get so we can get one color, because I already can see that there's marks and stuff that need Bondo in it. I'm going to spot putty this, but after I get one color on it, because it's going to be easier. I could fix all those now and then wait for them to dry and sand them and then spray it, but I'd rather just do all of the spot putty in at once. And so making it all one uniform color, like I've said prior, helps you see all the imperfections. And so you can see where that resin bubbled. So I'm not going to worry about the front because we're just cutting most of that off. In fact, we're going to probably cut right here to make it a circular so there's no edges. White paint, white primer, anything white sucks. Just the paint, the texture of it, the way that it flows, it just sucks. I hate everything about white. So yeah, it's dripping, but that's what we want. Real thick coat. White doesn't go on very thick, so you want a real thick coat. It's good to drip. So nothing special. It's completely covered. Head to toe, thick coat. I didn't show this part. I went and sanded the white and found all the little spots, and then I went in with the Bondo, like I said, and put it on all the little spots. It looks really cool like this. I mean, I think if I was making Mandalorian armor, I would leave this. This would be my finished look. It looks really cool and rustic. Like you could make some Mandalorian armor and have like a stormtrooper's back or something. I don't know. I got that one done. It's all nice and silky smooth. So this, once it dries, you can see how shiny it is. It's because it's still wet from, I deep clean everything between each step. Take it into the bathtub, scrub it down with soap and water. And this thing looks great. Especially like where the fiberglass and fiberglass resin is. Looks really good. Feels really good too. You can see over here the fiberglass resin that's showing through. It's really good. Doesn't feel bumpy at all or anything. Nice and silky smooth. And then I have yet to, this has been wet sanded, so the reason I went ahead and did the bondoing for that is because I haven't done it for this yet. So I sprayed it white along with that. Right after this one, I sprayed this one white with the primer. And this is what it looks like after wet sanding. So I'll be going in here with Bondo to like this part here. That looks like it would be a bump, but it's not. Looks like a drip. I sanded the drip out. This is pretty smooth. I don't have too many areas that are messed up. I mean, there's a spot here. It's visible. And there's a few spots down in here. And right there. You can't even see that. A few spots that I have to get. Not too many on this one. Coming along. But you can see exactly how that's going to look. So, music stand, guys, if you can find these, they're super cheap. They're super cheap at pawn stores and stuff. Just a microphone stand. And I use this microphone stand for everything. Every prop I make, you can see all the different colors. Iron Man red, different primers, there's silver. I put my print on this some way or another, especially big prints. So, I mean, it's just a bar up, and you can either do the bar across, or you can turn it diagonal, or whatever you want. Super helpful. I don't know what I would do without this. I also have an old tripod that I use, camera tripod that I use for, this will probably move over to the tripod here pretty soon. But like the gauntlets, I slid them onto here on each side and spray painted those. This way you have them suspended up in the air. The only thing that's touching is the inside, and you get every spot instead of having to spray one side, wait for it to dry, then flipping it over and spraying another. You can see how I just put this on a coat hanger and was able to just spray all around it. So that's legit. I'm going to film what I can. Got some primer filler. I was going to prime this all white, and I probably should. After this primer filler, do a coat of white primer. It'll just help with the final coat. Oh, look how smooth that is now. It looks so much better than it did before. It's telling you, taking the time to do it right. Not going to waste any time on that front, per usual, because it's going to probably go about like that. That's how the front's going to go. But all this is going to be under the top shield, so I don't really have to worry about that being smooth. It's basically this section right there. And that's looking really, really good. Wow, look at that. That looks really good. This whole top looks really good. Fantastic. Again, I'll try to get this front kind of how we're gonna be about like right there. I'm not gonna worry about that line right there. That's going to be underneath the shield as well. That's what I love about this. Alright, so that looks good except for that one spot. I'm trying to fill that in just a little. That looks really, really good. Alright, let's move on to this one. How smooth that is. That surface. And that's going to look really good. And then this back, I had to put Bondo here and here and cut this. That's looking real smooth now. Look at that. They are both done and looking great. These are the money sides. Really see how good that side turned out. Smooth that surface is. It's looking really good. Ended out just about spraying that spot out, so that's just going to take one good sanding. There's another spot over here that's just going to take some sanding. And that'll be good. And this, there's just some spots inside of here. Just need a little bit of sanding. And then this is going to be solid. this. The upper arm is printed in one piece. There's no seams that I have to cover up. It's printed really good like this. I'm not going to need anything but primer filler on it. Pretty confident in that. These shoulders here probably need a little sun mixture on the back. I sanded that down with a Dremel. Probably be okay. They're printed really good. You can see how good they were printed there. 0.15 millimeter. So what I'm going to do is kind of test to see what all I'm going to need for these. And usually these types of prints, all I do is I start out with the primer filler and just put it on heavy and give it a wet sand, and then it's going to show me, you know, what I need to do from there. I've also got these gauntlet pieces here that I still got to go over a little bit. I'm going to do these pieces first, this one and that one, the upper arms and the shoulders, since they don't have anything on them, just to get them started. And then if I have any of this left, I'm going to go over the gauntlets. Start working on the arms today. So those actually look a lot better than I thought they would. These were on the Anycubic, so I know these are going to be good. Those were done on the Ender 3, so they're not as good quality as these ones, but you can see just how good that was printed. That was printed really good. Look at this right here. Compared to that right there. Like I said, sanding that down, wet sanding with 180 grit to 220 grit. I mean, it's gonna sand out real nice. Those ones are gonna be easier because they got black filament and gray primer filler. These ones will be a little bit harder to see. Oh, I don't have much left. Just gonna do a light coating. Going to be in the stage where I go over and it needs Bondo like there, going with some Bondo putty here. These look really good for being spliced here. They've only been primer fillered once, and these have zero Bondo on them. No Bondo at all. So, and that's how smooth we got them. I made a video showing you guys how to smooth these without using any Bondo, but in the interest of time I'm going to use Bondo on these, on that part right there. But the rest of it, that's really smooth. The back of it here is just totally smooth. So it just depends on how much time you want to take on them, you know. Really smooth pieces. No Bondo at all. No wood putty filler, no nothing on these. So, literally all I need is to wet sand them once and put Bondo putty here and some in here and here and then some right there. Anyways, that's the arms. Starting on the arms. Didn't get the hands started today, but I do have the little hand piece that goes on top of the hand printed. So we're going to have the back piece with the front under piece, the belly piece with the lower back piece, and then the arms all finished real soon, real quick. I want to get them all to a primered state so we can do all the finish at once. But still printing. Had some trouble with the Creality Ender 3, so I'm still printing the thermal detonator at the moment. The other side had like 8 failed prints. There was a huge problem with the stepper motors and stuff that I had to deal with. But then I got to order some new filament, and then we'll get into the shins. The shins and the little ankle pieces are the only things I have left to print. So That's awesome. I'll show you guys these when they're done. So like I said, for time, I bondoed the few spots that needed bondoed on the well, on both of the gauntlets here. Just a few little spots, not that many. And then I've wet sanded these. I'm about to put another coat of filler primer on them. Just one more. That's all it's going to take. It feels really good. It doesn't look, let's go from this side. It doesn't look that smooth because of the coloring. And that's why I always talk about the getting one uniform color to see your flaws. It's so much easier. You can see it looks like it wouldn't be smooth, but this is fairly smooth. I mean, you can still barely feel the lines. And that's because sandpaper sands like the softest areas, and the paint is softer than the plastic, so it still kind of goes down in and sands a little bit. That's why I put such a heavy coat on. One more coat though, and it's going to be fine. So just 2 heavy coats of filler primer. And basically I did both of these, and then a light coat on these with a half a can of filler primer. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to sand the Bondo off of these gauntlets, and I think these and these still have a little bit more to dry. It's been raining and stuff, and it's going to be foggy later, and due to the moisture in the air, I want to get this done really quick. So I'm just using this white here. I've used it before, and if I remember right, it has a lot better coverage than a lot of whites. A lot of whites you have to put a real thin coat on. It's real crappy, and then you have to just keep putting coats and coats and coats, and finally it gets good. And I'm pretty sure, if I remember right, this is a decent paint where 1 coat does really good, 2 coats does really, really good. If it's the right one that I'm thinking of. But I want to try this out, and I'm not even going to sand these down. They've got primer filler on them still, but they're real smooth. All the parts are really, really smooth. I'm not worried about doing one more wet sand on them, because I mean everything looks great. And I'm pretty sure all the little dents, like there's one little tiny one right over here, I'm pretty sure a couple coats of white is gonna make that go away. See, this is doing a lot better coverage than that other white that I had. Look at that. That looks really good. But we'll hit this with about a 600 grit sandpaper and some wet sand. Clear those little tiny spots right up. Usually white's all sticky and runny. This paint really, really, really good. No running or anything on this first piece. Painted really good. Alright, now we gotta hurry on to this next one. See, when the moisture starts getting to it, it'll start running really bad. Right now, this piece is dry enough, and this primer filler, I love it because it's like super dry. It's not like, it gives it like a chalky surface cover, which paint loves to stick to, unlike a lot of other primers and paints and stuff that have like a glossy, slick finish. And it seems like paints, especially white paints, slide right off of it and you get dripping really easily. I'm really surprised by it because white's the color I have problem with dripping the most. bug in the whole damn place. There's no other bugs above me or anything, and the one bug lands on my damn piece. Oh well. It'll be wet sanded anyways. We'll get that out of there. Yeah, that looks good. That's real good. Yeah, this is kind of how I'm just going to end this one. I've got all that sanded down. I haven't wet sanded it a little. Looking nice and silky smooth. So I'll paint these white tomorrow and kind of see how that looks. First coat of white on it. I might put one more coat of filler primer on it. I'm not sure. One more light spray over just to see. I'm not 100% sure. Well, it looks good so far. And then these pieces here, they're still drying. Ever since I washed them, deep washed them, and set them outside, the moisture in the air, they've just stayed dry, or they've stayed wet. And they still feel pretty wet, so I'm going to just let them dry for another couple hours. And I'll put another coat of filler primer on those. And so the next video I'll start out with these covered in filler primer. And those probably we'll start on white. And then we'll start on the thigh pieces here. I'll start dremeling this all down. That's the baking soda and super glue. And I'll also wet sand these, and we'll start another coat of white on these. And I've got some work to do on this. I've got to heat form these just a little bit more on the sides to fit. I mean, they did fit perfectly before how I heat formed them. They were specifically heat formed to a certain degree, and then I made that front part to the back piece, and it's not perfect anymore. So you can see how wavy they are from being heated up and bent around and stuff. That's kind of what the plastic does if you do it a little too fast. So I've got to get those pieces done, and then I'll be able to adjust this and heat form it to that piece. And we'll start cutting out the front part of that back piece. We'll cut that out with the Dremel and put the Velcro on and stuff and get this fitted, and then we'll start working on getting this done. I'm debating on making a little bit smaller one. I think it needs to go down by about 5%. Just a little tiny bit smaller. I think is going to be better. And that's all because of these lines right here. See, when it's in front of you like this, you see how far those lines are to the side? They're actually more in. So I don't know, I'm still kind of discussing that with myself. And one last thing for this video before I go. I've got the thermal detonator printed. I failed with about that much left, so I had to print that tiny little piece and glue it on and glue them both together here in the middle. If you can see, I'm going way overboard with the super glue and baking soda because I want these things to hold tight. Like, I want them to hold, no busting at all. I don't think they would with a little less than I'm doing, but I'm overdoing it on purpose. I want it to hold. I want it to be as strong as I can get it. And I mean, in between these two pieces here, there is so much super glue. All this right here that's popping out is what popped out when I put the two pieces together, and then I hit it with baking soda. I ran out of filament, so I'm waiting on the shins and the ankle pieces. Those are the last two things I have left to print. I'm waiting on those until the new filament comes in. But sorry about the background noise. My kids are watching a cartoon. It's super loud. But this is the end of the video anyways. We'll see you guys later. Y'all have a good one.